We are back with the best of Kash Patel. This guy is absolutely based. Give everybody a chance to jump into the channel here. Join the live stream. I really enjoyed watching the confirmation hearings here with Kash. And I can definitely see why the deep state is extremely concerned about having him as the director of the FBI. Hey, Britt, Pete, good to see you guys. Vitali, welcome back, my friend. Nicholas, welcome back. Huge shout out to Nicholas Butorak, who is a lead investor in Lit Exchange. Cheers to you, my friend. Huge shout out and my personal thanks to you for your partnership and support in Lit Exchange. Typo negative. A huge supporter of the channel. Really appreciate you, my guy. Truly. Thank you very much. Felix, awesome to see you guys. Joshua, Black Widow, the OGs here. Much love to you all. But yeah, here we have live footage of Kash Patel walking into his confirmation hearing. And Paul says, apes need Kash and Pam Bondi to launch a full-scale investigation into Wall Street. 100% agree with you on that. Steve became a part of the Lit Exchange gang today. Awesome. Thank you very much for your support as well, my friend. Welcome to Lit Exchange. Looking forward to doing big things together. What's going on, King Louie? Good luck on your spy puts, my guy. Good luck on your spy puts. Looks like you got plenty of theta. You got sufficient amount of time on that for it to actually be profitable. So definitely pulling for you on that. Joshua, Wall Street is absolutely cooked, brother. Now, let's get into the actual hearing itself. Now, that is how you show respect. Kash Patel bowing to his parents, the utmost respect that he has for other people, especially his parents, is greatly nowadays in government. It was really nice to see. Ultra Ape, I know that goat. That was Kash Patel right there walking into his hearing. But this man is the epitome of respect. An absolute based individual, takes no shit from anyone. Check this out. Kash Patel pledged to open the books on assassination attempts against Donald Trump and all corruption within the FBI. That's the real reason Democrats want to sink his nomination. They know they won't be able to use the FBI as their personal prosecutor anymore. Kash has come out on many occasions and says that the weaponization of government needs to stop.
The Democrats look terrified, not really equipped to handle a guy like Kash. Are we going to learn things about Butler? Are we going to learn things about the Palm Beach attempt? What else are we going to find out here?
You know, something that enemies lists and political persecution, the FBI has been their personal plaything. At least FBI headquarters has been for the last 4 years, and they're scared to death that Patel will end it. They're not worried that he will actually persecute political opponents. They're worried he's going to stop the FBI doing that in the last 4 years.
The Democrats look terrified, not really a guy like Kash. It's about Butler. attempt. What else are we?
You know, something that he told me, Jesse, he pledged to me that he would open the books on what you just said. He would open the books on the assassination attempts. He would open the books on the FBI's lying to the FISA court, for example, when they went and lied to get wiretaps on the President Trump the first time around. He would open the books on all of their corruption. So you better believe the Democrats are worried because they've been cheering this on for the last 4 years. They talk about enemies lists and political persecution. The FBI has been their personal plaything, at least FBI headquarters has been for the last 4 years, and they're scared to death that Patel, they're not worried that he...
Too many people forget that Barack Obama illegally had President Trump wiretapped at the beginning of his first term. And the FBI was, of course, directly complicit. Not to mention opening the books on the Butler, Pennsylvania assassination attempt. Donald Trump would be dead right now if he hadn't turned his head a fraction of an inch. That in the background right there is there for a reason. Because the mainstream media doesn't want people to talk about it. And I don't want people to forget about it. That was not a coincidence, in my opinion. That was an act of God.
Before I call on Senator Lee,
could he just answer the question if he said that the FBI headquarters where they investigate cybercrime and terrorism should be shut down and opened as a deep state,
Hey, Mr. Chair.
as a museum? Did he say that the headquarters should be shut down?
Mr. Chair.
I deserve an answer to that question.
I
He
guess
is
it's-
asking to be head of the FBI, and he said that their headquarters should be shut down.
Mr. Chair, parliamentary inquiry.
you got anything you want to say, Mr. Patel, before I go on to Senator Lee?
Simply this. If the best attacks on me are going to be false accusations and grotesque mischaracterizations, the only thing this body is doing is defeating the credibility of the men and women at the FBI. I stood with them here in this country. In every theater of war we have, I was on the ground in service of this nation. And any accusations leveled against me that I would somehow put political bias before the Constitution are grotesquely unfair. And I will have you reminded that I have been endorsed by over 300,000 law enforcement officers to become the next director of the FBI. Let's ask them.
Mr. Chairman, I am quoting his own words
Along-
from September of 2024. It is his own words. It is not some conspiracy. It is what Mr. Patel actually said himself. Facts matter.
You forget that you had 3 minutes in the next round to say what you just said.
Okay, I'll say him again.
Okay.
You have 2 minutes.
I've been a U.S. Senator for 14 years. I've been on this committee the entire time. You were the very first FBI director or FBI director nominee who, when I've asked about this, hasn't said, oh, don't worry about it. We'll handle it okay. We've got good people on the inside. We would never breach the trust of the American people. Do you know what? They were lying. Let's talk about the Fourth Amendment for a moment. The Fourth Amendment tells us that in order for the government to breach your expectation of privacy relative to your person, your home, your papers, if they want to search that, if they want to seize you, they've got to get a warrant. And that warrant has to describe with particularity the persons or places to be searched or to be seized and to connect them up with a showing of probable cause. Now, in the case of FISA 702, we're dealing with a somewhat different universe. Now, moments ago, we heard some discussion about FISA 702, about suddenly we've got a different FISA 702 than what we had when President Trump was last in office. Is that true? Because by my count, FISA 702 has not changed substantively since President Trump was in office last.
That's correct.
Okay. And there was also some back and forth discussion about FISA 702 and the use of it and the fact that in real time, it might not work to get a warrant. This, in my view, misses the point. The concern that the American people have with FISA 702 is not about the real-time collection of communications regarding foreign targets. The concern is that once those communications are stored, you have within them what are referred to as incidentally collected communications of Americans, text messages, emails, recorded phone calls, and so forth. If they want to go in and search for someone, let's say you, If someone wants to go into one of those databases after they've been collected, let's see if you're unwittingly communicating with somebody who, unbeknownst to you, happens to be an agent of a foreign power or otherwise under surveillance under FISA 702. If they wanted to search for you, they wanted to enter your name, your phone number, your email address, or some other personal electronic identifier, would they have to get a warrant to do that under current law?
Under current law, I believe so, Senator.
Under current law, they routinely access that without getting a warrant. In order to access it, they've got their own internal procedures. They're not supposed to use this for light or transient reasons. They're supposed to have a perfectly good reason, and yet we found that on hundreds of thousands of occasions, they have accessed the private communications of Americans, searching for those individual Americans by name, by number, by email address, whatever it is, without a warrant or anything tantamount to it. On occasion, they've even been used for overtly nefarious reasons. One agent deciding to look in on his father because he suspected his father might be having an extramarital affair. On another occasion, an agent looked at people who were thinking about renting an apartment from him to make sure they were upstanding citizens and could be trusted. Are these appropriate uses of FISA 702?
As you alluded to, the FISA court, it's not me deciding it. The FISA court put out a report in 22 or 23 where 255,000 illegal improper queries of American citizens had occurred. 255,000 reasons why the American people don't trust it. And that's what we must work together, Congress and me, if I'm confirmed as FBI director, restore that trust and protect the mission.
Music to my ears, because I've been a U.S. Senator for 14 years. I've been on this committee the entire time. You're the very first FBI director or FBI director nominee who, when I've asked about this, hasn't said, oh, don't worry about it. We'll handle it okay. We've got good people on the inside. We would never breach the trust of the American people. Do you know what? They were lying. I was willing to believe that they thought they were telling the truth, but they were mistaken. But they were lying. Time has told us that they were lying. You will not lie, and that's why I wholeheartedly support you.
The first time that an FBI director has ever said that and been truthful, every other one of them has just lied about it. That is not surprising there at all. 255,000 instances in which people were wrongfully using and spying on Americans. Tell me we need a new FBI director without telling me. This is one of the many reasons why they're so scared of him.
I have spent the last 17 years in my own prison for what she, Jeffrey, and all the co-conspirators did to me. I was raped repeatedly. I was raped 3 times a day sometimes. And I was not the only girl on that island. There was a constant stream of girls being raped over and over and over again. And yes, Ghislaine must die in prison because I've been in hell and back for the last 17 years.
And 27 for me.
I was 10 years old when Liz Stein was being trafficked. I was 10. That is how long the sex trafficking ring has been going on for. I have...
And he's not alone. Look at how many people have showed up to support Kash Patel. Attorney generals, FBI, police officers, hundreds of thousands from around the country have turned out for Kash Patel. The ones that are not worried because they didn't do anything wrong. So they're more than happy to see Kash Patel become the FBI director.
Serving as the AG over the last 4 years, I've seen a lot of things out of these agencies that I never thought we'd see in the United States of America. I know my fellow attorneys general around the nation would agree with me. In fact, some of them are here today to support you. I'd love to introduce them if they'll stand up. The Attorney General from South Carolina, the former Utah Attorney General, Sean Reyes. I'm sorry, Alan Wilson, I didn't say your name, South Carolina AG, and Louisiana AG, Liz Merrill. They joined me. Thank you for being here. They joined me in signing on to a letter supporting your nomination, and we did that while I was still the Attorney General over a week ago. They came here today to support you, and Mr. Chairman, I know that you've been referencing a lot of letters that you've been entered into evidence. I'd like this to be entered into the record. Sorry, I'm talking like a trial lawyer. With consent, please, sir. This is signed by 24 states' attorneys general that support the nomination of Mr. Patel. One of the things that I have been
but I'm very concerned about what the chairman has done, and that is, and I'll yield in a moment. But he selectively put in a report the names of members of the press, of members of Congress, who he has had political disagreements with. He didn't put the names of everybody else in there. If he's got 3,500 pages of reports of phone records of people he's been spying on, he won't share all of those people that he's spying on, but he's selectively going to leak out names of members of the press who've written articles maybe that he disagrees with. That's frightening. That would be an abuse of power, but we don't know because the chairman won't share the details of what he's up to, but he did selectively put some of that in a report that wasn't even discussed in the hearings. And so, yes, it raises alarms, it raises concerns, and I would hope we get to the bottom of it. But I'm very concerned about what the chairman has done, and that is, and I'll yield.
Fortunately, Senator, yes. I don't want to get into those details.
I hope YouTube doesn't demonetize the channel with this one. This is the hard R, and he comes out swinging. He tells it just like it is.
My family here.
Oh, let's get into a few of them. Tell me about it.
Well, if you look at the record from January 6th, where I testified before that committee, because of my personal information being released by Congress, I was subjected to a direct and significant threat on my life. And I put that information in the record. I had to move. In that threat, I was called a detestable, and I'll apologize if I don't get it all right, but it's in the record, a detestable sand nigger who had no right being in this country. You should go back to where you came from. You belong with your terrorist home friends. That's what was sent to me. That's just a piece of it. But that's nothing compared to what the men and women in law enforcement face every day. And that's why they have my support.
Okay.
Fortunately,
Colleagues, I created a Kash bingo card that I have available to any of my colleagues who would like it on the other side of the aisle. Some may view this as an unserious caricature and not appropriate for this committee. Sadly, I consider it a serious caricature of what I expect to be witnessed today. I think we'll have words like enemies list and deep state. I've already X'd out 4 boxes in the opening statements alone. The fact of the matter is, some people will be here to simply substantiate a false narrative.
You can make a bingo card and mark off 4 of the items that you put on your bingo card just in the opening statements. It's clearly obvious that what's going on with a lot of the Democratic Party and the deep state is that they're very transparent in what they're doing. They're not trying to hide it from anybody. And it's clear as day to anybody that's been paying attention that the deep state has been working with a lot of these paid off politicians in order to push their agenda. The globalization and the World Economic Forum here are all in the same boat. When you can X out 4 boxes in the opening statement, you know something is wrong. Beautiful. I'm not a big fan of Ted Cruz, I got to say. But they threw the book here at Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer.
What were you doing on that day?
January
on that day
6th.
specifically, responding to, preparing to mobilize and deploy the National Guard once we got the lawful request from the local governing authority, which was the mayor of D.C. and the Speaker of the House.
Now, how many days in advance were you working to prepare the Department of Defense to help secure the Capitol on January 6th?
Days in advance, Senator, we were in the Oval Office on an unrelated national security matter with the President of the United States, the Secretary of Defense, the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and myself. and the president authorized up to 20,000 plus National Guardsmen and women to secure any security measures necessary related to the Capitol. So we were moving to the fullest extent of the law before the requisite request came from a local governing authority days ahead of time.
And while you were chief of staff at DOD, how many times did DOD approach Capitol Police and ask if they needed National Guard assistance?
I believe those letters are well documented, numerous instances, and in numerous of those instances, those requests were shut down.
Now, am I correct that the Capitol Sergeant at Arms said assistance was unnecessary?
That's correct, Senator.
Who did the Sergeant at Arms report to?
The Speaker of the House.
That would have been Nancy Pelosi at the time. Is that correct?
Yes, Senator.
And would that also be Chuck Schumer, then the Senate Majority Leader?
The Sergeant at Arms, yes, Senator, reports up there.
Did Mayor Bowser, the Democrat elected mayor in D.C., either request or allow National Guard assistance?
She put in writing on the days leading up to January 6th a declination for National Guard additional support. And that letter is available publicly to the world.
And just to speak English for folks at home, a declination meant she said no, don't send National Guard. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Let me ask you a simple question, because from the questioning from my Democrat colleagues, they might think otherwise. Do you condemn violence against law enforcement?
All of it.
January 6th was a setup. Kash knows it. The Senate knows it. Congressmen know it. Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer are directly responsible for what happened that day. They're directly responsible for allowing the police to walk people into the building.
Their questions, and it has led me to one thing. Why are the Democrats so afraid of you?
I don't know, Senator. You'd have to ask them.
Well, I tell you what I think, and listening to their questions and your responses, which we appreciate, they know that you're going to go in and you're going to clean up that political cabal that has been over there for years. You are going to reposition the FBI to its core mission. You stated that earlier in this hearing, and there will be no more political persecutions and no more two tiers of justice, and they have liked having two tiers of justice. They have enjoyed it, and it has helped them. They think in their political mission, they've enjoyed targeting Catholics. They've enjoyed targeting parents. But the American people have said they want no more of that. And our colleagues know you're going to clean it up. I want to talk to you about the Epstein case. I have worked on this for years, trying to get those records of who flew on Epstein's plane and who helped him build this international human trafficking, sex trafficking ring. Now, earlier I urged then Chairman Durbin to subpoena those records, and I ended up being blocked by Senator Durbin and Christopher Wray. They stonewalled on this. And I know that breaking up these trafficking rings is important to President Trump. So will you work with me on this issue so we know who worked with Jeffrey Epstein in building these sex trafficking rings?
Absolutely, Senator. Child sex trafficking has no place in the United States of America, and I will do everything, if confirmed as FBI director, to make sure the American public knows the full weight of what happened in the past and how we are going.
Bingo. Directly calling out Jeffrey Epstein and all of those people that flew to Epstein Island to commit these heinous crimes. People like Bill Gates, Bill Clinton, and many, many others are directly responsible. And of course,
to make sure the American
Kash Patel and Donald Trump are going to put the truth out there. Donald Trump has already stated that they would release a lot of the information in regards to JFK, Martin Luther King, Epstein, and they've already begun by releasing the JFK files and the MLK files. Now we have this slimy bastard, says Juanita Broderick.
Finally,
she's absolutely right. Slimy POS.
Finally, I would just say we need to think about where we are in this moment. We have a new president. He's fired prosecutors who investigated him. He's investigating other prosecutors, or his Department of Justice is. He's fired inspector generals who might hold him accountable. And this is just the start. And as FBI director nominee, he's chosen someone whose primary qualification, in my view, is his willingness to say yes when everyone else would say no to whatever the president wanted, to say whatever he wanted, to do whatever he wanted. That's why he is sitting here. I mean, look at the people who held that job before Mr. Patel, the stature of the people that held that job, the qualifications of the people that held that job. And how can any of us think that his background, his qualifications hold a candle to the people who went before him? How did we get here where we are defending a nominee like this, who makes songs with convicts who attack law enforcement? How did we get here? And where are we going? History is littered with democracies that lost their freedoms and didn't notice it while it was happening. Let's not be one of them.
Your time's up.
Adam Schiff is absolutely terrified. Kash Patel is the most qualified FBI director we have had in our lifetimes. And Adam Schiff, for the reasons I've shown you guys already here, is absolutely terrified. Will do everything he can to try to stop it, but it won't. It won't happen.
Well, let me inform you then. What it says is it raises an interrogatory asking why government resources were utilized. I've run resources and sources at the FBI. I've run sources overseas. It takes months for source developmental networks.
What resources were utilized a year in advance of planning?
That's the question I'm asking, and the Biden Inspector General report answered that question in the affirmative, that multiple sources were utilized, and I was simply trying to get to that answer.
What the Inspector General came back with was, quote, there is no evidence that the FBI had undercover employees in the various protest crowds or at the Capitol on January 6th.
And there is
no evidence.
There's a huge distinction between undercover employees and sources. I know because I ran them. And anybody in law enforcement knows that too.
Talk about being qualified, huh?
What it
the man who ran the sources, according to Adam Schiff, is not qualified. What an absolute joke that guy is.
Years on the Judiciary Committee the entire time. I don't think I've ever seen a nominee facing so many headwinds perform so masterfully, handle himself so flawlessly as Kash Patel did today. Look, they threw everything at him they had, and every single time he proved up to the task. Here's the thing, Laura, there's so much pearl clutching going on here. These are the same people who looked the other way for the last 4 years as a campaign of politically motivated lawfare has been underway, wreaking havoc on the American constitutional form of government. Not a peep out of them, not a worry in the world about the political weaponization of the FBI. Now you've got somebody coming in promising to clean it up, and they hate him for it. They're irate about the fact that somebody's going to be doing that. They're the ones now panicked about lawfare when Kash Patel all along has said it's wrong, he's not going to engage in it, and they don't want to take yes for an answer. Kash Patel knocked it out of the park. I've been in the
this other stuff about the deep state. Chris Wray, the director of the FBI, and Rod Rosenstein, the deputy attorney general then of the DOJ, were tasked with helping us at Congress, where I ran the Russiagate investigation, to expose Russiagate. We went to them and said, look, you guys didn't do this. Help us expose it. And they both doubled down. You know what they did? They launched an investigation against me, the senior congressional investigator for Russiagate on the House Intelligence Committee, and 6 other staffers. They used grand jury subpoenas to get my personal information, my banking information, my emails, my cell phone information, everything else. I didn't find out till 5 years later when Google called me and said, hey, our 5-year notification has lapsed. We can now tell you the DOJ surveilled you.
Well.
And we had to turn over documents.
Look at that.
So that became that we exploded that into a federal lawsuit that's still ongoing in the DOJ and FBI. But those two guys,
hold on.
What? So Google informed you that you're being surveilled 5 years after the investigation started.
Right.
What, I mean, what more did they tell you?
They're not allowed to say anything but that you can be informed now since it's 5 years later. So as a former national security prosecutor, I know you don't just go to Google. You go to every provider. You go to all the telecoms. You go to the bank. You go to everybody. If you're going to run an investigation, that's what you do. But these two guys who were running the FBI and DOJ sat in a room with the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee and lied to our faces. They threatened to investigate us, which was bad enough, right? They actually did it. I'll give you a perfect example.
This is what we're dealing with, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to fight against the weaponization of government, the government wants to fight against you. This is very clear, and it's not surprising in the slightest bit.
It's after Labor Day. We're in the home stretch. If you are not going all in every day on at least one issue in your community to get out the vote, to clean the voter registration rolls, to get out the movement for President Donald J. Trump, then it is on you to motivate your community to make sure everybody else does it. We are here to do our part. The only good thing about being in the swamp is you get to sit in the dojo that Steve Bannon built. And that's where I'm operating right now in my Trumpomania t-shirt, because that's what it's all about. Hulk Hogan embraced it fully at the RNC convention when he went out there and spoke from the heart. A legendary actor, a legendary wrestler, an international superstar came out there and literally tore off what it meant to vote for Donald Trump. And unlike that clown that just opened in the cold open here, talking about de Tocqueville and how he had his obsequious lappy sitting there next to him, Nicole Wallace, who, by the way, is a Republican, unless you're talking about Donald Trump. And I have no idea what that guy said. I literally tried to listen to every word that he was saying. What I want to know from the War Room posse is, what should we be talking about right now? And you can ping us, but we got a huge lineup here and a huge week. So let's prep the table. This week, the SAVE Act is coming to the floor on the CR. What does that mean? The SAVE Act simply says we, Republicans and most Americans, want United States citizens to register to vote and no one else. It's a pretty simple thing that literally every other country in the world does.
I think it's pretty clear why the Democrats don't want this guy. It's pretty obvious why the deep state is completely scared of him. And now we have Representative Thomas Massie today has just introduced a bill, H.R. 899, a one-sentence bill to terminate the Federal Department of Education and return the power back to the teachers and parents. Ladies and gentlemen, more than half of the money spent by the Federal Department of Education goes to paying paper pushers. It does not go to helping schools. It does not go to paying teachers or helping your students in any way. It pays paper pushers in the federal bureaucracy. We're seeing guys like Kash Patel come out and speak out against the deep state, against the ridiculous amount of money that's being spent, against Chuck Schumer, Adam Schiff, Nancy Pelosi. And the deep state is having an absolute meltdown. I could not be more thrilled, and this is exactly what we voted for. This is some of the best clips that we found so far about Kash Patel's nomination hearing, and I know that there's going to be more to come. So for now, I'm going to leave this video here. Make sure you guys check it out. Subscribe if you want to see more, because we're going to continue to do more videos like this. We're going to do RFK Jr. next. We'll do Tulsi Gabbard, and we're going to continue to follow up with them until they're nominated and beyond. Cheers, my friends. Have a great rest of your day.